Hello! So today I'm going to do my very first doodling prompt. This is the book that I got for this purpose. It's 642 things to draw. It's just one I found on Amazon, so yeah. I would like to say beforehand that this video was inspired by Casey Golden, who does her 500 drawing prompts. She suggested to get better at art to do this sort of thing, so I thought I'd give it a go. Let's just get into it. So we've got rolling pin and a hammock. Right. I'm not really sure what to do with that. Maybe if I just sketch out a rolling pin.
Okay, so before I actually get into this video, I wanted to let you all know that my uploads are going to be a lot more sparse than I intended for at least the next 3 weeks. My son is in hospital. I'm currently just at home trying to get in a tiny bit of work while Lee is watching him, and then I'm going back again in a bit. But yeah, I just want to let you all know that it's going to be a while. I'll tell you all about the story and how it happened and what's going on in a bit. But first, I wanted to talk to you about this prompt. If you get this reference here that I'm drawing now, I'll be very impressed. Let me know if you know what it is down in the comments. So I was trying to figure out, how am I going to put the two together? So I figured, well, a rolling pin, maybe there's someone hitting someone on the head with a rolling pin. So yeah, I kind of stuck with that idea because I liked it. And then I thought, well, how am I going to incorporate the what's it called? The slingy thingy between the treesy thingy. Hammock. It's right there. I can see it. The hammock. So I thought maybe if I have him sat in the hammock and I have like a grandma or grandmother, nanny, granny, like and hitting the child over the head with the cookie because he's stolen the cookies that she's made. So that's what I eventually decided to go with. So initially I went into my actual proper sketchbook and I sketched out the idea, sort of fleshed it out a little bit more, and then when I was happy with that, I went onto the proper main piece and sketched out my idea here. The problem with that was I didn't like the composition and the change in the size. I felt like the piece was too big. I wanted to try something a little bit smaller for my first prompt. And I liked it, but I didn't like the layout and all the details and that sort of thing. So eventually I scrapped this one after looking at it for a long time. I thought, no, I just don't like it. So what I then decided to do was cut out the initial sketch I did and trace it using this graphite paper onto the piece and do it that way, because I thought, well, that's just going to be so much easier. So that's what I decided to do, but it didn't quite work out right, because as you can see, once I lifted it up, the graphite just was not transferring. I don't know if it was because I was being a little bit too precious with the amount of pressure I was putting on, because I didn't want the lines to be too dark, because then I thought it was going to be harder to do. So I thought, okay, what do I do next? So then I went on to plan B, which was to use my light box. And yeah, this worked better. I had to go back over my initial sketch with pen because it was just too tricky to sort of see what the hell I was doing. Plus, I kept bashing the light with my hand, the button on this light pad box thing. So that made it quite tricky because the light kept going off and I was like, ah! Started to get a little bit frustrated with it. It did work. I managed it, but honestly, by this point, I was getting so frustrated with this. I just need a break. And then my dad rang.
Don't worry, Tribbiani's never get full.
Hello. Hello. I'm filming, but I'm at home alone and I can stop and chat and stuff. Ah, Dad. Yeah. Okay, you in the car? Okay, cool. Maybe Atlantic Village?
Honestly, I was so glad for the excuse to be able to go out. And it was actually my birthday, so my dad took me out and got me some little bits, and it was lovely. So after I came back, and I felt much more refreshed and able to crack on with this with this picture. So once I finally had a sketch that I was happy with, I went in and inked it. And while I'm inking it, I'm going to tell you about what happened. Oh, have I got a story for you guys? So, the other night, Ridley had come home from school and he was very weepy and tired because he had a full day at school and he just wanted to go to bed. But by this time, it was only about 5 o'clock, and I thought, well, it's way too early to put him to bed yet. So, and he kept asking to go on the dreaded, the trampoline. The trampoline. He kept asking to go on the trampoline. So, I thought, well, if I just let him have 5-10 minutes on the trampoline, and then I'll let him go to bed, and it'll all be fine. Yeah. Well, turns out he was on the trampoline with Tristan, and Tristan tripped over him, and yeah, Tristan said, "Oh, he's landed on his leg funny." So I took him off the trampoline, and he was all upset, but he was moving his leg around, and I thought, well, it's not broken because he's moving it, and he's pretty tough. My little man, he's pretty hardcore. He runs into walls and stuff, and he's just like, yeah, that's all right, and he just carries on. So I thought, well, if he was in a lot of pain, he'd be making a bit more fuss. So I said to him, I said, are you okay? And he said, I just want to go to bed. So I said, okay, we'll put you to bed and you can have a little sleep. I thought, fair enough, he's too tired. So I put him to bed, and he fell asleep for a bit, and then he woke up. And I thought, oh, it must be his leg must be really hurting. So I said, do you want to come out of bed and have a cuddle? And he didn't want to get out of bed, which I thought was a bit weird. And I thought, that's not like him. And he wouldn't let me touch his leg. So at this point, I was thinking, there's something really not right. He must have really sprained this. And Lee said, well, first thing in the morning, if he's still hurting, we'll take him to the doctor's. And then he woke up again a bit later, and he was really, really hot and sweaty. So I thought, right, we'll get him some Calpol. So Lee took him out of the bed, which he didn't like. And I went downstairs, ran, got the Calpol, came back up, and Lee said, does his leg look a little bit swollen to you? And it was really swollen. I said, right, that's it. I said, I'm calling 111, which is it's the number for our non-emergency sort of NHS people to get some advice and stuff. So I rang them, and they took all the details, and they said, we'll get someone to give you longer. So I just had to wait. And then luckily 111 rang back and said, can you get him in the car? And I said, I am not moving him. He does not want to bend this leg. He had it sort of stuck out like a little frog, not in an awkward position, just in a position that was comfortable, and he wasn't going to move it. So I said, I think he's broken it. And like, your mum instincts, I was thinking, it's broken. It's definitely broken. He's broken. I said, I am not moving him. He needs to be in an ambulance. And they said, okay, we will send you an ambulance now. So the ambulance people came, took him. He was crying and upset and in pain. And I thought, it's all my fault because I let him go on the trampoline when he was tired, and just, all those mum guilt things that you think. So while we were waiting, honestly, the doctors and nurses and surgeons and stuff have been so kind and wonderful. They've been fantastic. So they took an x-ray of his leg, and they said, yes, he's broken his femur, which, if you don't know, is the big chunky bone in your thigh. It's a big one. But he hadn't just broken it, he'd sort of twisted it and compounded it. So no wonder he was so upset. He was just, it was awful. It was awful. So I went flying back home. I said to Lee, right, I'm going to go and get our stuff, because it was clear we were going to have to spend the night, because he said, we'll probably get him a cast in the morning because he won't need it, desperately tonight. We're just going to do this, that, and the other. I said, right, okay. So then I got halfway home and realised I didn't have enough fuel to get home. So I thought, well, what do I do? Because I didn't have any money on me. I didn't have my card. We were in such a rush to get him to hospital. I had nothing. So I just pulled up to the petrol station. I went in and I said, please, can you help me? I said, I have no money. I said, but I need some fuel to get home because my son's in hospital. We need to get his stuff and my stuff, and then I'm going to come straight back. I said, I'll leave my rings here with you, my engagement ring, and the other one is the one my granddad got me for my 16th birthday. I said, I'll leave them here so that you know I'm definitely coming back, but please, please, can I have some fuel to get home? And luckily, the guy was so lovely. He said, yeah, all right then, go for it. So I went flying home. And I went flying back. Lee paid the lovely man. He said, as long as you're back by 6 in the morning, because that's when I get off. And I said, yeah, that's fine. So I stayed with Ridley. And they said, right, we're going to put his leg in traction, which basically means they fit him to this hoist thing on the bed. And it pulls the leg straight again to sort of pull the bones back in the place they should be in. So he needed to be sedated. So... yeah, that was awful. They sedating him as well. They said, right, he's just going to go off to sleep. And I thought, oh, that's fine because he's just be like he's going off to sleep. But it was so weird. It was like they gave him the medicine and he just it was like he just disappeared all of a sudden. And it was so quick. And my brain just went back to the time I had to have my cat put down. And I just had flashes of that. And I thought, he's not been put down. He's just asleep. So... then we got back to they rang the little buzzer thing and the alarm went off. I was in the parents' room and they said, right, he's out. So I went flying back to where he was, and then they were trying to bring him around from the anaesthetic, and he was having trouble coming around. And they said, right, it could be because he's so tired and he just needs some sleep, because by this point it was 4 o'clock in the morning. And I thought, well, fair enough, he's just tired and that's why he's not waking up. But then as we got onto the actual ward that they were putting us on, his breathing went very funny and they still couldn't wake up. And I was on my own at this point. Lee had gone back home. And I was starting to panic. I was thinking, why isn't he waking up? What's happening? And the nurses were going, come on, Ridley, come on, wake up, wake up. I was thinking, he's not waking up. And they were going, right, we might have to put a tube down his throat, get some air in him and blah, 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 blah. And then this lovely nurse just came along and went, wait a minute. She shifted him and shifted his neck, and then all of a sudden his breathing went back to normal, and slowly his little eyes started opening, and I was like, oh, thank God he's awake. So, yes, he is now in the hospital. They said to me it's going to be about 2 weeks. He's going to have to be stuck on this bed, attached to this machine thingy that's pulling his leg straight. So yeah, I'm obviously absolutely gutted that he's going to have to stay there in this bed, not being able to move. And me and Lee are going backwards and forwards to the hospital, taking it in shifts. But our family has just been absolutely incredible. My lovely dad filled my car because he knows we're a little bit short of money, to be fair, at the minute. So it's been quite difficult. And then the travelling backwards and forwards to the hospital, it was like, how are we going to afford the fuel? So my dad, bless him, he filled the car up completely, up to the brim with the fuel. Literally, he was tapping out every single last drop he could get into the fuel tank. And I also have a really, really wonderful friend called Helen. She was actually my doula for when I was pregnant with Ridley. And she dropped off some food and some cake and some sort of ready-made up dinners that we just had to heat up. My mum's been absolutely incredible. I stayed at her house the other night because she said, I'm going to make up our spare bed all nice for you and you can just have a nice rest and we'll feed you. And, you know, she's just been absolutely incredible. They all have. Lee's mum and dad have been so supportive. Lee's mum stayed in the hospital last night and watched Ridley for the night because I worked out I've lost out on about 40 hours worth of sleep over the last few days that I would usually have. So I'm running on minimal sleep. I got a good night last night, but the point of this story is, number one, so you know what's happening. Number two, so I can get it off my chest, because the guilt and the pain, and when they change his bandages and stuff and his sheets, he just screams and screams, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. And the other day, just after, because he hadn't been able to sit up in the bed because he was too frightened to move, so they changed his sheets and he was all teary to the point, you know, when you're crying so much that you end up just sort of doing that thing, you know, when you're trying to catch your breath. And he had all these little tears in his eyes, and I finally managed to get him set up. And with tears in his eyes, he looked out the window and went, "Oh, look, birdies." I was like, "Oh, bless him." But he has been an absolute trooper. He's been so, so, so brave, much braver than me. And Tristan's been incredible as well. He's, poor little thing, he's absolutely riddled with guilt because he thinks it's his fault for bouncing on the trampoline and with him, and he was the one that tripped on him. And I said, "Tristan, it's not your fault, these things happen." I said, "If anything, it's my fault for letting him on the trampoline." I said, "I understand that you're feeling guilty." I said, "You're bound to, because you were there when it happened." I said, "But it's not your fault." And I said, "And even if you think it is, nobody else thinks it's your fault." So, and I said also, my dad thinks it's his fault because he was supposed to come round that evening, but he was too tired to come round in the end. And he said, "Oh, if I'd just come round anyway, then he wouldn't have been on that trampoline and it wouldn't have happened." So, I said to Tristan, we all feel guilty. We all think it's our fault. But the point is, he's in the best place. He's doing really well. He's coping fantastically. He's been very brave. So, yeah, that's what's happening. So my uploads are going to be a lot less than I thought they were going to be this month. I was ready to completely crack on now that the shops closed and everything. It was the last day the other day. So yesterday, actually, it was the last day. The shop is now completely shut. So I also wanted to say a really big thank you to my patrons, because I updated them on my Patreon page and they've all said some really wonderful comments and things, and they said not to rush or anything like that, because my pen pal letters for some of my patrons need going out, and my one-to-one video chats are going to have to sort of be rescheduled and that sort of thing. And they've all been so understanding and kind, so thank you very much to my patrons. You've been incredible. Yeah, so I don't know whether or not I'm going to be able to get a July plan with me out this month, but I'm going to try my best. So now that I've updated you on what's going on with Ridley, I wanted to ask if any of you have got any advice on how I can keep him entertained in that hospital bed, because he's just stuck there and there's other little kids in there running around and playing, and he wants to get down and play with them, and obviously he can't because he's strapped to the bed. So if you've got any advice on maybe activities or things that I could do with him to keep him entertained. He's got a little DVD player, so he's been watching Blaze and the Monster Machines, and we've been doing colouring and reading stories and all that sort of thing. But if any of you have got any other ideas, I'm completely open to any suggestions that you might have. He's 2.5, he's nearly 3, he's 2, almost 3, and they're now saying it's going to be about 3 weeks that we're going to be in the hospital rather than 2, so I really need to find some things to keep him entertained and just do whatever I can. So yeah, if you've got any advice, please send it my way. So let's finally talk about this picture. Now it's almost done. I had a bit of trouble because I'm not usually a watercolour person, but I really like the look watercolour gives, and these are schmincke watercolors, I think. I really like that name. Schmincke. And they're so bright and colorful. They're wonderful to work with. I was trying to play with some different ones a while ago and it was rubbish, but I think I did okay. I definitely need to work on my blending techniques and colors and that sort of thing. I'm fairly happy with the colors here. I wanted it to look kind of muted, not too bright, but I did do the hammock a really bright yellow just to sort of make it all pop a little bit. But yeah, I need to work on blending and that sort of thing. But overall, I'm quite happy with it. I think it's a really cute little picture. I think it's easy to sort of tell what's going on. I asked Tristan, "What do you think's happening in this picture?" And he said, "Oh, he's taken a cookie, so the nanny's angry at him for stealing the cookie." So I thought, oh good, you can tell what's going on in the picture, because I wanted to have a bit of a sort of story or some sort of meaning behind it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it, and I really enjoyed, once we got through the whole actually getting the sketch down and sorting it out, I really enjoyed painting this. but yeah, there's definitely some things I need to work on, and I'm really looking forward to actually getting better at this. And I'm looking forward to doing more prompts. And in the next few prompts, I promise I will talk a little bit more about the actual image and what's going on and what's happening. But yeah, I wanted to update you on what's happening with Ridley. But what do you think? What do you guys think? I'm pretty pleased with it. I think it's really cute. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to the next one. I have no idea when I'll be able to upload it because you will know why. But yeah, I'm looking forward to doing the next one. I have no idea what the next lot of prompt words are, so we'll see what we come up with. I'd really like to crack on with it and get on because I'm missing doing my art and my planning and stuff. I'm missing doing it. There's not really enough to sort of plan in hospital, so I've just been writing down any medication he's been having and that sort of thing. So my planner is still in use, just not how I would usually use it. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say about this picture, but I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Yeah, this is the final image. So I'll see you for the next prompt. Hopefully I'll be able to get my July plan with me done. I am sort of penciling it, but I don't know whether I'm going to be able to film it or anything like that. So if not, I'll do a flip through at some point just to show you what I've got, a quick one, but I don't know if I'll be able to do the whole setup. But yes, that is my image. That's my first prompt. I have a few smudgies, but I think it's okay. I'll leave all the links to the products that I used in the description, as well as where you can find me on Facebook, Patreon, Instagram, all those sort of things. And that's it. I hope you all have a wonderful day, evening, morning, whatever time of day it is for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!